All right, problem number 6. This is your first experience with these problem number 6s. And I mentioned this in my grading. I don't know if you caught that or not, but the problem number 6 is worth more than problems 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's meant to take a little bit longer, meant to be a little bit different. The main difference between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we'll see this, we'll do a lot of these, or hopefully we'll do a lot of these. I'll do a lot of them. I don't know if you will. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are always problems that you've seen before. You're not going to see anything new. You might see a little twist here or there, but it's going to be stuff you're familiar with, you're used to seeing, you're used to explaining, hypothesis test, confidence intervals, probability, that sort of thing. Problem number 6 is always be a little bit more difficult to study for because it's always just going to be very different. I can't really prepare you for these problem number 6s like I can in the other ones. We can do a lot of the other ones. You'll see them. We'll do a lot of 6s also. But they're all really different. They all just take some analyzing. They're going to throw some little twists at you, something you've never seen before. So it always makes it a little bit trickier. A couple pieces of advice on problem number 6. First of all, just even if you're struggling with any piece of it, keep going. Because often it changes gears in the middle. And it might go from doing one thing to another that you would be able to do. So just because you can't do part A doesn't mean you can't do part B or part C. And the other thing is just be prepared for a lot of reading. You'll notice often the reading is more than the work. So there's not any more work here. Actually, there's probably less work on this problem than on the other 5 problems. But there's just a lot of reading. Sometimes these are 3 pages long. So anyway, the question, if you don't remember, was this automobile manufacturer thought their miles per gallon was, actually 27, not 17. But a bunch of people thought they were misleading and didn't really think it was that good. So the first question was define the parameter of interest. The parameter of interest, what we're studying, is miles per gallon. Also said give a null and alternate. The null is miles per gallon is 27 because they think it's less than. That needs to be the alternate. The alternate is miles per gallon less than 27. Each one of these parts is an EP and I 4 parts. And again, it counts more. It counts 25% of the written part, this one problem, whereas the other 5 problems count 75%, so this one's worth more. Part B says one condition for the test is that we have either a normal population or a big enough sample size. Sample size is small in this problem, it was only 10. Since we don't know anything about the population, remember one of the things you can do is use the sample. So if the sample looks normal, that's a pretty good indication of the population looking normal. However, here they look at the sample and you see it's not normal. It looks skewed right. And so the first thing they ask is one measure of skewness. So we've talked about skewness. Basically, skewness right means the mean is greater than the median. So one way they measure it is with data, right? They just do mean divided by median. So if the mean divided by the median, the question is what values will make this skewed right? Well, if the mean is greater than the median, that means this be greater than 1. The more bigger than 1, the more skewed. Okay. Part C says, look, even though the sample was skewed right, could it have come from a normal population? And of course, we know the answer to the question is yes, it could have, but how likely is it? So what they did was they took a normal population. So you see all my little dots here, right? They took a normal population and they ran these numbers. And they did the mean divided by the median over and over and over and over again, and they put all those points on a dot plot. Then they told us our sample in this particular problem was 1.03. What does that mean? Well, what we did, and we've done problems like this before, is I looked, I didn't write all the dots here, I just went to 1.03 and found all the numbers to the right of that. So more extreme, or as extreme or more extreme than 1.03, there were 14. P-value, yes? P-value. As extreme or more extreme than 1.03. So my P, there are 14 of those. I just counted the dots, which is 14% because there were 100. So that means if my null hypothesis was that it came from a normal that the population is normal, which we know it is. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking this, and the alternate would be skewed right, but there's no evidence that it's not normal. Right, so it's very possible. The idea here is that this happened 14 times, 14% anyway. So it's very possible that it had come from a normal population. If this number of 1.03 only happened once in this whole thing or twice, we'd say, well, no way it could have been from a normal population. So high p-value said, yeah, probably could have come from a normal population. And the last problem, just ask you to come up with your own formula. So there's lots of different things you can do here. I just did one. There are others, and I'm sure that are fine. I'm not sure how to grade yours. You just have to know. But skewness means stretched, right? So the way I thought about this was if I had a little box and whisker plot, if it's stretched more on one side than it is on the other side, it's skewed right, yeah? So what I did was I did the maximum minus the median, so I figured out how far it was from here to here. And then I figured out the median minus the minimum, how far it is here to here. If it was skewed right, this number would be a lot bigger than that number, so if I divided them, I'd get something greater than 1, skewed right. There are lots of other things. I could have subtracted them too. I could have taken that number minus that number. This one minus this number, if it's greater than 0, skewed right. So there's other things you could have done here, but that's just one possibility. So the number 6s, like I said, are going to be harder. They're going to challenge you a little bit more, probably because they're going to make you think a little bit more, because it's not going to be something you're used to seeing. We'll just do lots of them, and hopefully that'll help.